Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, evening, whatever part of the country you're in. I'm Dwayne Chig, and welcome to Talk About It. This month is a very special month. On the 31st of this month, July, my wife and I will be celebrating our 39th wedding anniversary. 39 years. That's a long time. And so this whole month, we're going to be talking about marriage. And we're talking about the real deal of marriage. Our theme is you're ready for a wedding, but are you prepared to be married?
Right.
A lot of times people are prepared, people want to be married. And my wife taught me a very special lesson. I want to give you this story and I'm going to introduce my guests. Well, let me introduce my guests first, and then I'll give you this story. My guests are Mr. and Mrs. McLaughlin, Sandy, and Michael. They've been married 4 years. How are you all?
I am 29.
And I'm 31.
No, I said, how are you, not how old.
Oh,
Doing well.
How are
doing
you?
good. I
Good.
just see
And what's
at the end of the workday.
Yeah, what's little man's name?
Mason.
Mason. All right.
Everybody.
What's up, Mason? Okay, and we're talking about being prepared as opposed to ready. And my wife taught me this lesson because early in our marriage, we'd be getting ready to go someplace, and I said, "Okay, baby, are you ready?" She said, "Yes. All I have to do is," and I'm thinking, because then I was young and stupid, so I said it. Michael, you're supposed to think it, not say it. And then I said, well, if you've got something else to do, then you're not ready.
Right.
But what I discovered, that there's a difference between being ready and being prepared.
Yes.
Ready is what you want to do. Prepared is what you're equipped to do. And oftentimes people are ready to get married, but they're not prepared. And so tonight and the rest of this month, we're going to lift up marriage, talk about marriage, get people prepared to be married.
Right.
Because as I told you earlier, sometimes, when you talk to people about marriage, why are you getting married? Okay, I'm in love, but that's fine. But after you finish being in love, somebody got to take the trash out. Somebody got to wash the dishes. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reality of it. Let me ask you a question. Well, let me ask this first. You all have been married 3 or 4 years. How did you all meet?
We met in college. So we were both going to LBCC.
Okay.
And we basically, he was already I think you were vice president of the Black Student Union, basically. Our club was called Sankofa. And so he came to speak in my class and I saw him. Who's that tall chocolate Mike?
Right.
History. So that was a little bit over 10 years ago.
Okay, good. And so you all met in school. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to share this, but I'm not very good at being multitasking.
Oh, no problem. That's all right.
So, but that's good. And wanted to ask you, 4 years, you're still, some people would consider new to the marriage. Did you have a certain idea of what marriage would be like? And where did that idea come from? Because some people have fantasies, some people, marriage is going to be this. So did you have an idea of what marriage was going to be, supposed to be like? And if so, what was it and where did that come from?
So I think we definitely both had different ideas maybe of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
For me, bless you, sweetheart. For me, I basically got my idea of marriage from my bishop and co-pastor, growing up and seeing them in church, seeing friends, their parents, and then of course, many other people, TV, so television,
Right.
Watching the sitcoms. No, really, that was a big, idea. It created an idea of what marriage was and what it was supposed to be in my mind. So I kind of formulated, what I thought about marriage and, what I desired. I was definitely one of those little girls that, if you asked what they wanted to be, I was like, I want to be a wife, a mom, So I was definitely the Barbie doll, dream house type of little girl. So I
Okay.
had an idea of marriage for sure.
And then mine was a little different. My parents was married for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then when we got together, they were kind of like going through a divorce. So we were getting like, she was ready for marriage, and I was kind of on the iffy side because my parents was going through the divorce side of marriage.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that played a part on the beginning of our relationship as well.
That's very good. I like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's real. That's real. So
For sure. It was
different.
interesting
Why do you say that?
because we were falling in love and they
Mhm.
were breaking up.
Ah,
Yeah, so it was, and my parents were not married.
okay.
I was raised in a single. I had my mom, had my dad, but I was raised in a pretty much a single parent household.
Right.
Whereas he had both of his parents, and they had their own, their marriage, their family, and so while we were getting together, they were separating. So
Okay.
it was
Okay.
interesting, for he and I to kind of navigate that. And because we kind of got serious pretty fast, kind of fell hard for each other type of thing.
Right.
I let him know in the beginning that I desired marriage eventually.
Okay.
So he was definitely a little like taken back by that.
Okay.
So
But would you say, okay, that has to do with, good communication. So I guess it's good to let somebody know what your expectations are.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's very important. It can be scary for a lot of people. And it's all in how you go about it. You don't want to like, badger anyone down, like you gonna marry me tomorrow type of thing.
I'm staying and you gonna love me, huh?
Right, and you gonna
Jennifer Hudson.
and this is how our life's gonna look. Some people
Right.
are like, she's crazy or he's crazy, whoever it is.
But
Right.
if you don't set it as a goal, some people
Right.
never reach it or achieve it because it was never there from the beginning,
Or some people continue with the relationship, with the desire for marriage in the future when that was never in the other person's,
Ooh, clarity.
vision for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. The scripture says wisdom is the principal thing. With all your wisdom, get understanding. So we need to understand where this is going. I like that. Let me ask you a question. This is a question for both of you. What quality or characteristic of your spouse do you admire the most?
I'll let you go first.
I would say his love, his kindness, his general kindness. I think when people meet him, they're drawn to that.
Right.
His family, friends, co-workers, just anybody that kind of meets him, he's just a natural, kind person. He does everything with his whole heart. And I think that was probably what was most attractive about him.
Okay. I like that.
And so I think that's probably my favorite characteristic.
Okay.
For me, it was just her spirit. When you meet Sandy, it's just vibrant energy. What are we doing? Let's do this. Let's give it our all. When I first met her, I was an introvert, so I like being by myself. Being quiet. Stuff like that. And
Right.
she definitely was like, yeah, that's not happening. This is who we are.
Oh.
You're a representation to me. So just being around her and her loving spirit and wanting to do so many things with she was just amazing person all around.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Like
good. That's
The
good.
shining star.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay. And it's interesting the descriptions that you've given for each other. Just in the time that I've known you, I see those. They're accurate. They come through. So to the people watching, that's just not platitudes. They're just nice things they're saying. Just like I
Right.
said, just in the times that I've known you, I've seen those things also. And just in case you're just joining us, this is Talk About It. Today we're talking about marriage. You're ready for a wedding, but are you prepared to be married? And our guests are Sandy and Michael McLaughlin. Let me ask you a question. What marriage reality have you already come to realize? 4 years is, is a good while, but it's not that long, But there are some things that in marriage, because people have fantasies about marriage, and we talked about that earlier. But then the reality sets in. So, what marriage reality have you come to realize already in 4 years? If that makes sense.
Did I go first?
I think one for me would be that it's really best to keep everyone out of your marriage.
Ooh.
You can take a little bit of advice from here, but when it comes to you and your spouse, you want to try to work on it together and figure it out together. Vice versa, because everybody's relationship is not your relationship. Everybody's marriage is not your marriage. So
right.
You got to be careful on what information you bring from the outside into your marriage.
Oh, man, you smarter than I was 4 years in. I was young and stupid, man. So you're a lot smarter than I was 4 years in. Miss Sandy, same question.
For me, I would say definitely that it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I think one of the most unrealistic expectations that people have is that, I'm getting married to this person and I'm going to live happily ever after, and this is how it's going to go. And you make this whole storyboard of, how your life is going to go and, how your husband or your wife is going to, act and what they're going to do. And it just, life doesn't go that way.
Right.
And so I think people, many, like, as you said before, they come into it automatically believing that they're going to know how to be a wife and how to be a husband. And it's a learning process.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a learning process, a continuous, I hate using the word job, but it's something that you have to work at.
Yes,
definitely.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. I wrote a book and I've got a book coming out probably later on this year. And this is the title of it. You're ready for the wedding, but are you prepared to be married? And one of the chapters is it's work, but it's worth it. Yes. And, it doesn't just happen because you pray, it just happen because you're so fine and, all that sort of stuff. But it's definitely work, and you have to work at it. Preparation is key. So
yes.
Did you all have preparation before you got married? And if so, what would you say are some elements that would need to come into that preparation? What kind of preparation did you have for marriage, if you did? Because truthfully, when and co-pastor says this all the time, when we got married, people our age, when we got married, it was you love him, you love her, pray, and it's gonna be all right. Well, it ain't always gonna be all right just because you pray.
Right.
Sometimes you get prayed for, sometimes you get prayed on.
Right.
We get PRAY and PREY. And so, but there needs to be some preparation. So definitely. What type of preparation did you all have, if any?
Well, we did do marriage counseling.
Yes,
that was definitely before we got married. I think for about like 6 months before the wedding. We did it like over a period of time with our bishop and our co-pastor, which really helped us kind of focus in on what the journey that we were about to embark on, and they really gave us the tools to bring into our marriage. And also I think a big thing that was a part of our preparation is that we dated for 6 years prior. So we've been together 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that everybody has to date for that long before they get
Right.
married, you know.
What we call it is seasonal dating. You know, you get to know the person throughout the seasons.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
Right.
Who you meet in the winter might not be who you thought they were in the summer. You know, I'm just saying.
No,
So
I love that.
you
I
wanna
love
date
that.
through the seasons. You know, you
Okay.
get full knowledge of who your spouse is going to be before you get into a marriage.
And I mean, through that time, we were able to see each other through, you know, good times and bad times and financial hardships and just growing because we were really young, figuring out life, you know, and what, you know, we basically grew into our adulthood together. So that was interesting. And I think that really prepared us for our marriage, because not only were we so much intertwined by that time and then of course so in love, but we genuinely cared about each other and we wanted to make it work.
Ah, that's important.
Yes, we wanted to make it work. It wasn't an up and down relationship. It wasn't a relationship that, you know, brought forth pain. It wasn't any of that. It, you know, we meshed together and it just made sense.
Yeah. I think with like every little thing brought us closer.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
You know,
Our
she had
hardships, for
family
sure.
problems. I had family problems, you know, and everything kind of just it made us come even closer together.
Right.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So utilizing that opposition as an opportunity to grow closer.
Right.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. And it's important. All those things. Those are realities of marriage, and I love that because, as we said earlier, so many times people get into the falsehood, the fantasy part, you know,
right.
Of marriage. How important is it to have, and Michael, you alluded to it earlier, that everybody's marriage is different, but how important is it to have some type of example of marriage, of husbands, of wives, and how important is that, and where did you get your examples from? Both of you, or either or both of you.
We had a few other young couple friends, which was very helpful to us. We had a few, like a couple of my older sisters were married. My mom that raised me, she was married. So I got to see, you know, different marriages and kind of how they work through things. So of course we got loads and loads of advice. But even before we were married, people were kind of coming to us, you know, asking us, you know, different things and questions and stuff like that.
Right.
And we loved the community that marriage was creating for us. And we kind of just were able to bounce off of, you know, other couples, seeing what was working for them, you know, certain things that we would like, okay, yeah, we're not, you know,
we're not doing that over
we're
here.
not doing that, you know, or, you know, just kind of just pulling from the people around us, you know, many people were very, you know, big inspirations to us. And some of what we developed with our marriage, you know, was in spite of other marriages, you know, seeing certain things that I just, you know, I did not want for myself, or, you know, him, you know, even with his parents who are, you know, individually amazing people, they just didn't work out together. You know? So we learned a lot, you know, just from watching and being a part of essentially their divorce. Right.
You know?
And they're, you know, even though they went through a divorce, you know, they still loved us and they still gave us as much attention as they could.
Right.
You know, even though it wasn't there between each other, you know, they still was there for each and every one of us, you know, before and after.
Right.
That's good. That's good. In marriage, you know, there are a lot of things that make it work. What would you say is one or two paramount things that you need to have to make a marriage work? Now, this may be different for everybody, but there are some foundational things. So what have you found to be something, just one or two things that you find that is, foundational for your marriage to work?
Well, of course, number one would be my faith.
Okay.
Having that common ground to, to come back to, when times get hard, when there's joyous time, just coming back together and, thanking God or praying to God and figuring out what that means, for our marriage.
Very good.
And for each other, because it's different for everybody, and everybody, faith journey is different. So I would definitely say my faith, absolutely, and what would be something else, babe?
I'm sorry.
Something I understand, no problem. I definitely understand. An element.
Too.
Hey, I understand. I don't have no kids in my house, but I understand. So that's not a problem. That's not an issue. And being able to go back and forth and do that—that's part of growing in marriage. Also,
yes.
Being able to do that. No, you change it. No, you change it.
This another
yeah, and that may be something we may need to talk about also. But my question was, what would you say is something that's a foundational element that is necessary to make a marriage work? Something that has made your marriage work, a foundation, element or something, foundational to make your marriage successful.
I would say, so I said faith, and I will also say friendship.
That's good.
It's very important for you to be friends with your spouse. I heard one, wife say before, like, oh, my husband is not my friend. He's not my friend. He's my husband, and that's what he is. And I don't believe that to be true. I think that, yes, your husband wears many hats, but he should be your closest friend.
Right.
I think they have to be if you're doing it right.
Right. I mean, you'd rather be with somebody else than be with your spouse. And now there are times when you want to be with somebody else because they got on your nerve, and that does happen. I know it hasn't happened in your marriage.
You have to have other friends.
You have to have other friends, but they need to be your friend also.
Yes, absolutely. So faith, friendship, and respect.
Oh.
That would be my three. I respect him as a human.
Okay.
I respect him as a man, which makes it easy to love him, if that makes any sense.
Oh yes, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I like that. I might put that in the book, and I'll give you a copy free because you.
Go ahead and put that in there.
I like that.
It's true. Because I have respect for him and his morals and his values and how he treats his mother, how he treats, the people that he loves, it makes it easier to love him and admire him and be friends with him.
Good. I want to ask you, and we've talked about this in other sessions. How important, if you can't, we'll get you to answer first, Mike, and then you can go take care of Mason. Communication, because how important is good, right communication in a marriage?
I don't think there is anything more important than communication.
Right.
That's one of the things that set the foundation. At the beginning of our relationship, there was times where, because I'm a family man, so if my mom would call me, I would come running, no matter what it was.
Right.
And then I had to learn. It starts in the house. Your wife is first.
Right.
Your wife is first, and I'm like, well, no, she pushed me out. I've known her. Oh, sorry about that.
Right, no problem.
You know what I mean? I've known her all my life.
Right.
I can't just say no, and she's like, well, I'm not telling you to say no. I'm telling you to let me know first. Check in with me first, you know, so I know what's happening. You can't just
Right.
get up and run out when someone
Right.
calls you.
Ah.
So communication is definitely key.
And see, that's important because a lot of guys look at that and say, "What you mean? Check with you first?" But it would go to an ego issue as opposed to a communication issue.
Right.
And you said something very important, that you know, the order, the priority. You know,
Yeah.
your mother, you know, your wife, your mother. But sometimes people put their homies, they put their sister, they put their, you know, whatever the case may be. And if it's a blended family, sometimes the kids and that nature. So that's very important. So understanding that. How did you, and I want to ask you another question, but Sandy, how did you all navigate that I'm the number one lady? That's not showing a lack of respect for your mother, but the time that it took him to get that together, how did you handle that?
You know what? When I met him, my relationship with my mom was a little turbulent.
Okay.
So, you know, of course I love my mom and I was very respectful to her.
Definitely.
But our dynamics were different than him and his mother's relationship.
Okay.
So, kind of talking through that and realizing some things and then forming my own relationship with his mom. It just brought us all closer. And then of course, like you said, you know, I did have to set some boundaries as far as, you know, like sex and stuff goes. I by no means was like, you know, I'm number one and your mom's second. I did not do that at all. Which I wouldn't have been able to do anyway because he's a mama's boy. So he was going.
But it might not be, it might not be articulated that way, but that is correct.
Right.
Obviously, you can't say I'm number one and your mama's number two. That's going to cause problems. But the fact is, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right. So I just kind of we compromised and
you got to talk about it. It is what it is. You got to say, look, this is it. You know, this is the groundwork. You know, for such and such, this is what I am to that person. You let me know how you feel about it, and we go from there. You know, instead of just saying, "Oh, this is my brother." You know, he take a bullet for me. When he called me, I'm leaving.
Right.
You can't say that, but she said, you know, when he has emergencies, I'm the only person he have. Is that okay? You know, you got to conversate about certain situations.
Right.
I think for me, I'm by nature very territorial.
Okay.
So it wasn't actually.
Now remember, Mike, when we finish this, I'm going in the other room with my wife. You got to stay over there. So
Right. So I think for me, it really wasn't. I think for us, it really wasn't about his mom.
No.
Okay.
It was more of his relationships with everybody. So it wasn't just his mom. He would go and run to. It was friends. It was work. It was some siblings, things like that. He's the guy that everyone calls.
Okay.
Do everything. I need a refrigerator moved. I need my house moved. My car's on flat tire. You call him at
Let's call Mike.
I would show up. I was that guy.
You call him at 3:00 in the morning. He's your guy. So I had to kind of, without kind of diminishing who he was, I had to.
I like that.
Yeah, because by nature, he, like I said earlier, he's kind.
Right.
So I don't want him to stop being kind. But what I kind of had to show him, and he had to, in the beginning, he was very turned off to it because he didn't understand. But as time went on, he started to see what I meant by, you want to be a giving person, and you want to do all these nice things, but you do have to have boundaries with people, boundaries with your family, boundaries with your friends, and so that was just something that kind of like a lesson for he and I along the way, because of course I had to put up some boundaries as well. But he kind of learned that, and he has changed that a lot.
That's good,
because he was getting taken advantage of because he's so kind. So
Well, as Bishop has always said, givers have to set limits because takers never will.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it is malicious of the takers, but sometimes it's not malicious. It's just, okay, we know Mike is going to come,
Right.
and,
Absolutely.
and as you said, communication is the probably foundation, in a relationship, because men and women communicate differently.
Yes.
Women say men don't listen, but what I tell people, we do listen, but we don't listen like a woman. Right. Primarily when a guy and his wife are talking, a guy is listening for two things: what's wrong and what you want me to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't start preaching now. Don't start preaching.
And sometimes you just want to vent, but see, we don't know that. I had to learn that. And so a guy has to learn sometimes they don't want you to fix nothing. They just want you to listen. But you can't listen. That don't make no sense. You just gonna talk just to be talking? Yeah. And so that's one of the primary foundational things about marriage, about communication, that people have to learn. And I love that, the way you talk about how you communicated that particular issue of, always helping other people, because that had that not been communicated properly, that could have been a real big issue. Right. Because I remember one time my wife was going someplace and she was wearing something that I didn't particularly care for, because let's say it highlighted certain areas of her anatomy.
Yes.
And I told her I didn't particularly care for that because I know how men think, and so would you not wear that? And she changed it. But had I said, we ain't going nowhere looking like that, woman, we'd still be fighting.
Right. Yes.
So
it's all in how you say it.
It's all in how you say it. And so that's why communication is so important. Let me take a little break, and then we're going to get back and wrap this up. This is Talk About It. If you just joined us, Talk About It is brought to you in part by my latest book. It's called Encouragement for Tough Times. We all have tough times that we go through, things that we deal with. And so there's a chapter in here called I Can't Sing. And what that deals with, that helps us understand that when we get in trouble, we automatically think about what we can't do. Well, that is to help you flip it so you can start thinking about what you can do. And each chapter starts with an original encouragement quote, like the one on page 16. It says, remember that your elevation requires your participation. So you can get your copy at Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon.com. If you don't remember my name, the whole name, just put Shig in the browser. You won't get lost because there's only 3 authors on Amazon with the name of Shig, me, my brother, and my cousin. And so you won't have any problem. And that's the truth. So you won't have any problem. So get your copy today. I want to thank you for being here, but I want to ask you, what is the best part, or not the best part, but where I'm going is that a lot of times people talk about marriage as a drudgery, as ball and chain in terms of the wife, or all of those different things. Marriage is great. So what would you say is one of the best things? Each of you give me one thing. What do you find to be the best thing, one of the best things about your marriage? One of the best qualities, one of the best things about your marriage. What does it do for you? Why are you gonna still be there? Why are you still gonna be there celebrating your 39th in 36 more years? So what's gonna keep you going? Why are you determined to keep going? What is it about your marriage that's gonna keep you determined to keep going?
Ooh.
I know that's an essay question.
My marriage, it brings me joy. It gives me purpose. I find that my marriage is a part of God's purpose for my life.
Okay.
Not just that, it fulfills me, but also that it truly inspires so many others. And I'm inspired by that. And I'm inspired to keep going. Every time someone tells me, keep going, and, they tell us how much they admire us. It's not about the admiration. it's just about, bringing hope to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of the word hope, I think of God. I think of that feeling, that comfort that He gives me. And so, yeah. I think that that is most definitely something that keeps me going.
Okay. You will have a hard time coming behind that. But no, in all seriousness, what is? Give me something. The best thing about your marriage, the thing that's going to keep you going, the thing that's going to take you from 4 to 10 to 20 years to 30 years.
For me, it's determination. You got to be determined to go through it. This is a test I'm willing to pass. I don't want to give up. There has come, I think, one time where I was, upset, and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving, and I never left the porch. Because it's like, dang, do you really want to ruin this? This is something that you have faith in, you believe in, and if you believe in it, you got to strive to finish, all the way.
Exactly.
And,
I like that.
To me, there is no finish line until we get to above. So got to keep rocking,
Got to keep rocking.
The short version, you know what I'm saying? The short
version. Right. I like that. I want to say thank you for being on the show and for being willing to be transparent and to help people and to let them see. Because a lot of times we hear about marriage, but let them see, what it's like, and even in the 4 years. But in order to get to 39, you got to get past 4.
That's true. Absolutely.
And
I love that.
And the principles that it takes, you just keep doing those. Any last minute statement or anything you want to say before we shut it down?
If I could say anything, I would say don't quit. Anybody who's already, got their foot in the door, don't quit. Bad times, you turn around for a second, you turn right back around and you hash it out.
Yeah.
Good times, you got to make sure they're celebrated, together. Good times like, hey, this is a milestone. Let's celebrate.
Right. Even the small ones.
Even the
celebrate
small ones.
Everything.
Oh, I like that.
Are victories too. Little victories are victories too.
Victories too. You've been talking to my wife, huh, Sandy, about celebrating. She celebrated everything. She celebrated everything, and y'all know my wife, and she's within arms reaching distance of me. She's touching me, and so she celebrates everything. But hey, it must be, obviously it's working. We still here 39 years later, And so, any closing remarks from you, Sandy?
My closing remarks would be, don't let anybody turn you off of marriage. Marriage looks different to everyone, as we said before, and what is desirable for you in your marriage, may be different for someone else, but do everything with love in your marriage.
Ooh, I like that.
Everything with love in mind. Something's going on, and and hard times come. If you start, with love, that'll bring forth the kindness that you need to make it through the day.
Oh, I love that. Start everything with love. There was a couple that I was talking to just recently, and having some rocky things, and I basically said that same thing to them. That's good. Do it with love. Be determined. I want to thank Sandy, Michael, and Mr. Mason for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it. We are talking about marriage, being prepared. And as you've listened to Mike and Sandy, you've seen what real marriage looks like. We have the fairy tale, we have the Cliff Huxtable and Claire Huxtable, but they had writers, so
right.
But the real deal, up and down. And so one of the things that shows you that in marriage you can make it, but it takes work. And so I'm encouraging everyone to get prepared. Don't just jump into it, but be prepared. As they talked about, you have to be prepared. You get some counseling. When I marry people, I don't marry people that haven't known each other or dated each other at least a year. I generally don't marry people 3 months. I won't marry people because, again, the Bible says, "Will a man build a house without counting the cost?" And so, other words, you know what you're getting into. You know,
Right.
first 3-4 months, you ain't even met the real person yet.
You ain't even seen the foundation yet.
No, not at all, not at all. And so, I thank you for being with us. You continue to watch, talk about it. You can see some of our shows from last month on Facebook, on YouTube. If you want to follow me, follow some of my encouragement videos. You can find me on Facebook, Your Encouragement, Instagram, Encouragement, the letter N, Encouragement, and on YouTube, Dwayne Chig, Encouragement, different things of that nature. So I thank you. I thank you for being with us. Thank you, Mike and Sandy. Thank you for watching, and continue to be with us, because we're going to keep on talking about it. You stay encouraged. Be blessed. You guys hold on.